I went through college. I never finished a single book, and
Bruh.
now I read a book a day. Right? So
That's
it's
insane.
yes,
A book a day.
yes. It's not, but it's not the type of book that you should think. It's not like massive books.
Okay. It's how many pages would you say?
Yeah, it depends. It depends.
Average. Throw a number out there.
Maybe 200,
You're going through 200 pages in a day.
bro. In the morning, you read in the morning. You read at night before bed. It's not bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
You must be.
You just have to plan your day accordingly.
That's fair. I mean, are you skimming the book? Like, what's going on there?
No. Mm-mm.
You're actually reading 200 pages a day. God bless you, man.
Yeah. Bro.
That's it. Wow.
Look, hell of an intro. I tell you what you info, but I never really been the type of dude to give no info. But if you see your ends low and you trying to get a benzo, I'll give your ass some game that'll change the way that you think, bro. Super skilled with the pencil, super ill in my mental. I reminisce on life, I'm nice, here's my memento. Get it through your tempo, I get on any tempo and give it all I got. I'm hot, I got like 10 flows, trying to live on the 10th floor. Across from residentials that I own, my mind stayed grown. I used to think clothes, I really used to think hoes and what I do to get those. And then I switched it up, I'm only
Is this
thinking
actually
potential.
documented? Are you gonna screw us over again? Or is this one that we're actually gonna have?
Dude,
where we
how
can-
many times do I have to tell you that this is already in play? Like, I'm recording right now. I don't have to delete anything like you do.
Oh, like me? Well, he wants to flip the script. That's perfectly fine. Go ahead and paint the picture on me that you want to paint. I don't have no issue with it.
Yeah, that's okay.
I mean, just to give a little bit of backstory, we just went through some traumatizing moments here, in a sense where what we had wasn't recorded. So sad, but we're here again to give you guys another one. Again, Walk and Grow podcast. I mean, I really got to figure out an intro. I got to figure something out because I think the way that we bring this in is going to be very beautiful. Once we identify exactly how we want to do that. Don't you think?
I do, and it's gonna be in a way where I think you will figure it out because that's what you need to do. That's what you're good at,
How do you know I'm good at it? I never said I was
bro.
good at
Because
it.
you've been doing it already, and I know I'm not gonna do it. That's not my lane. And
What makes you think it's my lane? I do it because you won't do it.
that's great. That's
No, that's not great.
do you want to find like, I don't know, get a button, bro. Go to
Yeah, I
Amazon,
think we
buy
need 'em.
something, set that up and find a simple way of doing it. You don't always have to use your voice to have an intro.
That's
I don't
fair.
even know why you need an intro for it because the content is going to be put out there regardless of whether or not you have an intro for it.
Yeah, you got to let people know it's getting started.
They already know because
Mm.
they went through the app, selected the episode. They know it's getting started. You don't have to remind them.
So if you're watching a movie,
Yes,
you're not disturbed by no intro, just straight into action?
yes.
No.
I won't.
Oh,
I
but
won't. I
come
won't.
on.
Yes, bro. What do I need to see the credit for?
I'm
at
not
the
saying
beginning?
the credits. No credits. I'm saying intro of the movie.
But it's not like you have somebody that stand there and tells you, "Hey, the movie's about to start. You might want to pay attention because what we're about to talk
Well,
about is important."
Actually, whenever you go to movies, you see the lights start dimming down. Then what happens? Oh yeah, it's about to get started. Oh yeah, we're going. It's here.
that's basically like you going on the phone and going through the app. That's you
That's
dimming
the
the light.
intro.
Yes, that's you dimming the lights, bro, because you're about to listen to the episode.
I guess.
You don't need me to tell you, "Hey, yo, listen to this episode, bro."
I'm not saying listen to the episode. You have to bring in the concept of the episode some way somehow. I'm trying to understand truly indeed. How are you going to share the the listeners? How are you going to talk about something if they have zero?
I start the audio, and I start talking. Start talking.
Interesting.
It's that simple. You either listen or you don't. No, let me not be rude. I understand what you're trying to do. You're trying to be a good host for your audience, and that's like admirable. But let's get to the content.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Enough rambling about nonsense. We want to talk about something quite interesting. It was brought to our attention not too long ago that what we were talking about on a previous call of ours, that how we were talking about growth and evolution of that nature, it was quite interesting. It was we had two inputs and perspectives that many people, I guess, never really thought about. I mean, again, we always talk about growth on this podcast. It's one of the big reasons why we have started this podcast, is because we understand that growth is difficult. There's a lot of variables. There's a lot of things that need to be taking place in order for growth to actually happen. And it's tough, especially if you're trying to go through it on your own. I mean, would you agree?
I think life is difficult, which then makes that process of growing a bit more challenging. But you can make that task a bit easier by, taking some steps. And that's what we're on this podcast, trying to kind of all figure out what are the necessary steps that we need to take to basically tackle life in a more, in the easiest way possible, with less obstacles. We know, you're going to face some obstacles along the way, but, being able to learn some things that can help you, save you some time as well, could be beneficial. It's just, the more information you can collect, the better. That way you can know how to allocate the information.
Yeah, I like how you said that, the more information, because, even in our previous episodes,
you may not use all of it.
Yeah, no, and that's perfectly fine. In our previous episode, our goal, I don't know if you guys have picked up on the concept already, but we're trying to dive deep into, our guests' just their life story, whatever they're going through personally, professionally, to kind of get an insight of how do they go through it. Because even as we're speaking to them, there's multiple times on multiple occasions where we have spoken to a guest, and there was something that, for instance, now we sat down and thought about ourselves afterwards, speaking offline, and we're like, yo, that was actually an interesting concept. So even when we're speaking to individuals, we're constantly learning. I actually, to go a little bit personal into my personal life, I had a conversation with a real estate agent who's actually in Chicago, and he was telling me how it's not about creating it. It's about how are you going to leverage it. That's when I truly indeed started seeing growth, at least in the professional world.
How are you going to leverage what? What is that it?
Well, it's whatever you want it to be. Whatever it is that you're going to grow, whatever. That it is up to you. You decide what that it is. But he said it's not about you having... Always remember, and part of growth is you don't always have to do it. That's my main point that I want to try to drive across here, is you finding someone or you figuring out how you're going to acquire, how you're going to do it. It doesn't necessarily have to be you that has to do it. And I think that right there is a very, very big piece in growth that gets shadowed. And I don't know why. I feel like it's because of how everyone is raised. I don't know if I don't want to pin it on the schooling system because I don't have an answer to this. So if you have an answer, hey, please, if you studied it and you did the due diligence, I'm curious to know. But I feel like there's something there that prevents us from thinking about leveraging something else or using something else as a part of our growth to get to that next level.
I wouldn't say it's part of the educational system. It's just how the environment. It's a combination of nature and nurture, bro.
It's how we think, though.
It's not how. Well, it's not just how you think. Your environment plays a factor too. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Because if you're put in an environment where you're taught certain things, certain elements like that, of course you're gonna take advantage of that because it's a valuable asset, knowing something like that. But if you just, think it's gonna come to you, or go about doing things differently, then it's not for you. You have never been put in an environment,
but boom, you've never been put in that environment, so you're forced now to grow.
If you want to. If you want to. Not everybody wants to grow. Everybody, you have people who are, what's the word that I'm looking for? Content with their lives, which is totally okay if it's your life at the end of the day.
Can you really ever be content? This is a serious question.
Are you asking me?
Yeah. Just in general. Like, do you believe that you can truly indeed be content?
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
It's you can be content, especially if you found your purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you can. because now you have identified exactly what you're supposed to do or you want to do, the things that you desire. So now the minute you're doing it, it's no longer quote unquote work,
right?
It becomes a passion, right? So when you're doing your passion, you're technically content within that passion.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because if you know this is your purpose, why would you want to go do somebody else's purpose? That's being content, because now you have identified what's yours.
That's true. I mean, I feel like the word content in its way can, I guess, not push someone to not really grow. I guess. I mean, when you're content, you're just you're.
I think
the
word you're looking for is conformity. That's what Earl Nightingale referred to when he said, people don't. I forgot exactly how.
Don't mess it up.
No, I forgot exactly how the quote goes, but he basically
give it a try.
No, I know exactly what you want me to say. That it will come back to me. I used to listen to this every day. How can I not remember?
I haven't listened to it in a while. Stranger Secret?
No, because I have too many books. Yes, yeah. Stranger Secret is by far should always be in the rotation.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Every morning it should be.
Yes.
And that's probably the easiest and the quickest way to. I shouldn't say easiest, but it's one of the quickest way to really get growth out of your day immediately. It's just tapping into that.
Yeah, but actually,
go back to the conformity aspect of where you were going.
I can't remember.
And that's fine.
I can't remember.
Remember for another day.
I can't remember exactly how it goes, but I'm gonna give it a stab at some point. I think he said. Let me look it up. Actually. Yeah, it said. So he says the opposite of courage is not in our society is not cowardness. It's conformity. So basically, and then he goes to dive deep into it, saying that we tend to settle. We usually know the things that we want, we just don't do them.
So with that settling aspect,
that's being content.
Content.
Yeah.
You said content, bro. Come on, we giving content, but
yeah, content.
So would you? So then,
that's being content.
So then, I mean, let's literally look at it then. Is being content a good thing? Like if you're gonna compare content to conformity, I mean, that's when everything kind of stops. So
I think it depends. It depends on the context of when you're being content. Because if you come up to me with a deal, for example, that makes sense to me,
right,
when I know I can get more elsewhere, that's me being content.
Which is fair,
right?
But you're still
in that moment, in that case, it's acceptable.
Yeah, but you're growing. I think you're still growing because it may not be you personally, but your money's growing at that point. If I bring you a deal or bring you something that is of value,
that's why I said it really depends.
But can you really say you're content? Like yes. You're content with the deal, but that doesn't mean you're content overall.
But you're content with one aspect of it. Without that aspect, all the other aspect of it don't exist.
So let's talk about the individuals that get content with life.
Bro, I can't speak on that because that's their life. If you're gonna be content with your life, it's that's on you. All I can do is, and that's basically part of what I want to talk about today, and I'm gonna dive into it at some point. If you're gonna be content with your life, that's on you.
Have you ever been?
No. I'm always going after something. I'm always going after something, which then prevents me from being content because I'm always chasing. Not chasing it as in like because something is wrong, but I always like to challenge myself. And
so I don't want you to get confused and not even confused, but get lost in when you're chasing. So when you're chasing, are you chasing, like, the analogy, chasing the dog's tail? Like, is that what your chasing looks like?
No.
Okay.
No, my chasing is structured. Well, it wasn't really structured growing up because it was mostly what I was being told to do. But the wiser I become, the more I understand how you have to have a plan, bro. You have to have a plan. You have to have a reason behind why you do certain things. You have to have a goal.
Okay, so then let's talk about your plan, or just any plan, or just your thought process in terms of that plan. Let's say you're on your journey, you're on your path, and you face a wall,
Yeah.
and you have no idea how to get through it, how to get over it, how to get around it, how to go under it. What do you do?
I look around at the resources that I have, which resource allowed me to, to then make the next step. So in a scenario like that where I obviously don't know anything, I'm going to start doing research, whether it's to try to figure out what skill set or what, assets do I need to take that will get me over the hump, or who do I need to connect myself with. So it's being able to understand, having the ability to say, okay, this in this scenario, it's more about who do I know, not how do I do it.
Who know how?
And if the who works, cool, right? So now you've identified and documented that in this scenario, who is the approach. But there are contexts where how is more important. So being able to identify, okay, I'm in this scenario, I'm stuck. I'm stuck here. So I know Ron may have an idea on this. Of course, I'm gonna call you and be like, yo, I need help. Help me out with this. But having a plan is more important because I know where I'm going, and I know that little wall, that obstacle is that's not the end of it. It's just something I need to figure out to get to the next level. You're gonna and you know what? The beautiful thing about it is once you already registered that you're going to face obstacles like that, it makes it even easier.
Right.
Yeah. Once you make it, you already that it's part of the journey.
Yeah.
It makes things a lot easier. It's like, what's next?
I mean, I don't think it makes it easier.
It does. At least for me, it does. Because now, I know that, hey, there's a reason. I've been telling you this since college. Everything happens for a reason. So with that mindset, there's really nothing that can faze me. Or not just faze me, but that can kind of bother me. Whether it's bad or good, it's happening for a reason. Over time, you kind of, you learn that.
Okay.
Yeah. It's deeper than the flesh. That's all I can say on that.
Yeah. No, that makes perfect sense. I mean, relating it back to myself a little bit, in the personal life, in business, actually, I actually just experienced the same exact scenario, which is why I posed the question of how are you going to deal with a wall that you have faced within your life, whatever it is that you're going through, or whatever it is that you're experiencing. And I kid you not, it was that same exact concept I took. And it took me having another conversation with one of my colleagues who was a real estate agent in Chicago. It took that conversation for me to understand, I'm thinking about this completely wrong. I need to be thinking about this in a sense where, yes, I'm stuck at this point, right? And I need to figure out how do I get through it. And just having a small conversation like that, and mind you, the conversation was not like, hey, help me out. It was him and I just talking. And that is one thing led to another where I was able to think, and I was like, oh, he's right. Because there's one thing he said is leverage other people. And it's what you're saying here, who, not how. Always, always, always. And I think this is where I get lost myself. Go ahead.
I think you're looking at it in a way where it's one dimension. And you might want to look at it like a 3D object. Look at it from different aspect of that equation. You have to look at all the context that comes with it. So you cannot leverage everything.
Yes, you can.
You cannot leverage everything.
Yes, you can.
You cannot leverage everything.
Yes, you can. You obviously have to do something yourself. So, yeah, you may not want to leverage everything, but you can leverage everything. Absolutely. And I think that's where growth really comes from. If you don't leverage, how are you ever going to get something back?
You can get things back by sacrificing, bro.
Yeah, you sacrifice X amount of time to get that back, right? But you don't get it back.
You don't get the time back.
Okay, you don't get that
something
time
else back in return.
What do you get back? Time.
No, you don't get time back. The time that you're
talking about time in the past. Okay, I'm talking about just sacrificing that time now so you can have your time for later.
True. In that context, yes.
Yes, that's what I'm referring to. So yes, sacrificing is going to help you get that time back. However, You have to leverage to get that time back. Because if you do it all by yourself,
I'm not even sure you're getting that time back, because that time is still gonna come regardless of whether or not you do the things that you do now. That time is gonna be there. It's what you do within that time frame that's more important.
yeah. But okay, let's just say that you have the time, but what you're doing, you're still sacrificing. There was no progress being made. Was it real? Like, again, we're talking about growth
Yeah,
here.
but I'm trying to go. I'm just trying to reason with you and trying to understand where you're going with the leverage. Like, you can leverage everything. I think there are things that you cannot leverage
Why?
because some things are not meant to be leveraged.
Okay, and that's fine. Do you leverage it up to? I mean, okay, give me an example then. What is something that you can't leverage?
Well, the easiest one to begin with is God. You can't leverage God.
And that's fine.
Right,
Because
but-
that's you, yourself, and I.
Right.
Mm. I hate to put you on the spot. Give me an example, but I'm really curious
No,
to know, like, what are you going to? What can't you leverage?
I'm sure there's countless of examples out there. I'm drawing a blank right now.
If you can leverage people, bro, you can leverage anything.
Mm-mm.
I'm just telling you. If you can leverage people, you can leverage anything.
I'm gonna have to think on that. I don't think you can leverage everything.
If you can, I'll say it again. If you can leverage people, you can leverage anything.
Well, I don't think so, because people are unpredictable. That's what makes it to the point where you have the ability to leverage certain people, and you can't leverage every human being.
And then that's why some people fit for others and some don't.
Yeah.
And that's perfectly fine. It's up to you to figure out if that person works for you or not. I mean, that's fair. But in the end, somebody's out there that can be used, and I hate to say the word use because it's gonna sound awful. I'll just say leverage, because use sounds awful when you put it into context. I think everything can be leveraged. Absolutely. And I'm gonna yes, not everything's supposed to, because as an individual, you want to have something that you can perfect, something that you're great at, something that you can go ahead and because I mean, I would hope the goal is to get really good at it, to then do what? Pass it along. That's how you pass on that knowledge, that leverage that I should say the knowledge that you have to someone else who then is doing X, Y, and Z on their behalf for you.
No, well, if you're doing that, then do you really want to put them in a position where they're doing it for you? So how did you help them?
They'll be the knowledge.
How did you help them?
The knowledge.
Just so they could do it for you?
But not necessarily. It's for themselves. But
right.
Of course, if again, why do people have mentors? Why do you want a mentor? Why? It's to get the experience, the knowledge from somebody else. The best way to learn is through experience.
You get true. Well, you get the experience, but it's not necessarily to then, be a servant to where you got the experience.
We're all supposed to be servants, bro.
We are supposed to be serving, but you're not serving to the same source that gave you the knowledge.
Why not?
You're passing it on to those who don't have it. That source already has the knowledge.
Then it's good. So if somebody gives you the knowledge, you're not going to continue to serve that person that gave you the knowledge?
Well, I was never serving to begin with. What do you mean?
So you get your mentor, whoever, right? You pick someone that's like mentoring you, helping you through whatever it is. You're fine now. You're good. You're comfortable. You're at a state where you're like, I can pass my knowledge on to somebody else.
Right.
But your mentor, it's just a formal way of giving back. It's, hey, thank you for pouring into me, giving me the
relationship is never gonna change, because we always gonna, I'm always gonna learn from my mentor.
Yeah,
but I'm not teaching my mentor per se directly. I'm teaching other people who don't have that knowledge.
Right.
But I'm gaining the knowledge from my mentor, which is completely two different things.
So in you receiving the knowledge from your mentor, you're not giving your mentor anything back?
It depends.
Interesting.
It depends. Not every mentor wants to get something back.
And that's fine. They don't need to. It could be, hey, let's go out for a drink. It could be, hey, let's go on vacation. Yeah. It could be something. It could be the smallest thing.
But that's where I say it depends. Just because if I was mentoring somebody, I don't think I would be expecting anything in return.
That's fair. But I think anyone who receives something from somebody should, in your own decency, to give back.
But you don't. That what I'm trying to say. You don't have to give back to the same source. You can give back somewhere else.
Okay.
because with that same mindset, I've told you this before. You where your blessing comes from, it's not where you gave it. So if you, for example, help somebody out in the street right now, right, who needs help, it's not the same person that's gonna bless you. The blessing is gonna come from somewhere else, maybe maybe 5 months from now or 2 years from now, right? But it's the fact that you took the initiative to serve somebody else, right? So let's say you're my mentor, you help me, and my duty then becomes to help somebody else, not you. My duty then is to help somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
So in hope that somebody else can do the same thing and pass it on to the next generation or whoever else needs the information.
Right.
That's where I'm going with it.
Makes sense. But what if that was like something that your mentor said, is make sure you pass this along?
But that's why I say it depends on the context, because if you have a mentor who's like, hey, yo, I want you, in exchange for me passing you this knowledge, I need you to pay me, let's say, a restitution fee or whatever, every year or so, right? And now at that point, that's within the contract of you and your mentor,
right?
And that's just one example, because it could be used in different ways. It could be used. Think about this, for example, for a basketball coach or any coach in general, right? When they teach you a move or they teach you how to do something, what they're getting in return is the gratification that comes with you winning, a game or winning a battle or winning a trophy, winning. That's the satisfaction that they get, right? But they don't necessarily get the same skills that they taught you, back in return to them, right? Those skills will benefit somebody else who's watching the game, but for example, right? Because they want, I never saw this move, but the move came from the mentor. So you help somebody else see a move and now learn a different, the same move. So it's being passed on. But the mentor himself doesn't need to know the move again because
he's already done.
Exactly.
Though. But that's fair. I mean,
it's the same context with what we're talking about. It's like you cannot, in that aspect, you can't leverage your mentor.
No, I mean, yes, and that yes, you can. Actually, yes, you can. You're leveraging your mentor for knowledge.
So now what is your mentor getting in return?
Why? You just said as a coach, you don't need to get nothing in return. Why does a mentor need to get something in return?
No, because I was going based off of what you said. You were saying
okay, and this is me speaking. If somebody pours into me, I'm obligated to pour into somebody else.
Absolutely.
In exchange of you pouring into me, I'm going to give back to you who poured into me. That is just me. That's where I'm coming from, right? So you pour X amount of, it may not come immediately. You probably will never expect it, but you're gonna get it some way, somehow. It's a way, or it's a way of me saying thank you for doing X, Y, and Z, and it's gonna come repeatedly. It's not gonna come once. It's gonna this is just who I am, just giving back. And I agree with you. Doesn't necessarily have to be the mentor, especially if the mentors are really well off. Yeah, like you're good, but it's just small things. I think the small thing is what truly indeed where I'm really coming from. It doesn't have to be, hey, here's X amount of bucks, go enjoy yourself. It could be, hey, let's go golfing, let's go hang out, let's go shoot, let's go get a drink.
But
let's
here's the thing,
little things.
As a mentor, you're doing yourself a disservice if you're expecting that kind of stuff.
Absolutely, you shouldn't expect anything in this world. Yeah. Nothing. Right. You should only expect what you make of yourself, because that's ultimately what it's come down to, and that's where growth is difficult, because you can't put expectations on no one, and if you do. All I'm gonna say, shame on you. You can only expect what you do, what you kind of go through in your day to day. But that's where growth becomes extremely difficult. Because I think having expectations on others is what allows growth to kind of get diminished. Again, let's go back to the leveraging, and I think you can leverage anything. However, if you have expectations of how you're gonna leverage it, and it doesn't go about your expectation, then I think that's when things become a little bit difficult. That's when you have problems, and that's where you have people like, oh, you don't fit with this because they haven't hit.
You have a lot of disappointment.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to look at it that way. There's multiple ways you can look at it that will make sense. And I know we're just touching on a couple, areas that we're familiar with, and I want to hear about, any other area that may have crossed your mind as you're listening to this. If there's something that you feel as though we missed out, just feel free to bring it up, and we touch on that. We can talk about it even more on the next episode, if needed.
Yeah. I mean, do you think that anyone can ever have like a true, and it sounded like you were trying to end the episode, but bro, I'm sorry. Does this sound, do you think that people can ever have a hold of, I don't want to say growth, like, and what I mean hold of is like, you know, just being conscious and being aware of their own growth, their own improvement.
Whether I think or not think, it doesn't affect how people will go about doing their things. But to answer that question, I think yes. I think everybody is somewhat aware of what's going on in their life. Some people just accept it the way it is and go about it, and some people want to chase more and grow. But it all comes down to why are you doing it?
Mm.
Why are you comfortable in your skin, in the things that you do? Why are you not looking to level up, right?
I don't want to level up.
Exactly. No, but that's why I say it all varies based on that. That's why I say it's hard for me to answer the question like that, because it doesn't really affect our listener, or it doesn't affect anybody out there. It's more for you as a person, as an individual, to realize, okay, what are the reasons behind what I'm doing? Reason makes the difference in how you achieve things. It makes a difference in how your life works out. And there's different ways to, you can go about it. It's the same thing with, why do you eat every day? We all
you have to survive,
exactly,
to live,
right? Now, think about it in this context. Same thing with, why do you work out, right? There's a reason. There's a strong reason. There's a strong yes behind it. And your yes is you want to stay in shape. You want to be healthy. Right? So do you have a strong yes that will tell you, hey, I want to level up? Or do you have a strong no that's like, hey, I don't need to level up?
It's interesting.
Because I'm comfortable in the skin. Can your yes outweigh your no? Or is your no outweighing your yes? And this is in basically anything.
So you think if the no outweighs your yes, that's when you become a little bit more content and you just kind of stay stagnant, I guess, and not really seek for growth?
I think in most scenario, yes, because then you become a no person, right? It's like, yo, you want to go out tonight? No, man, I'm good. I want to stay in.
That sounds like you today.
Yes.
I want to stay home. I want to
Yes.
stay home.
Yes.
Oh, come on, we got things we got to go do.
Yes,
go ahead.
but then that also, your life is not gonna be comfortable, bro. You will be missing out on a lot of opportunity to be exact, because think about this. Something lands on your table and you're basically turning it down because you're comfortable. Like, I already have 20 properties. I don't need any more. That's being comfortable. When you have the opportunity, let's say, to get 5 more at a discount price,
Right.
but you passed on it because you're comfortable. So you're basically blocking your own blessings at that point.
I mean, I don't think saying yes to everything though is a good thing. Though.
I'm not saying say yes to everything. I'm saying find a reason behind everything that you do. Because if there's no reason, then it becomes just like for your dreams, for example. If you ever dream without a reason, it's a pipe dream. It ain't going nowhere.
Pipe dream.
Yes.
Pipe down.
So
pipe
you
down,
get.
pipe down.
Come on, man. I'm trying to be serious. So what I want to get to is you need to work on having enough reasons behind the things that you do.
Enough reasons
Behind the things, and
be careful with that.
yes, you want to work because you want to look down in the future and develop enough reasons for you to do the things that you want to do.
Like, when you mean enough reasons, are you saying like you have one thing that you want to accomplish and you have multiple reasons on why you want to accomplish that?
Yes. So you I mean, I'm not saying you sit there and count how many reasons you have. No. I'm saying that the reason behind why you're doing something has to outweigh why you wouldn't do it.
Fair. How many? So then, what would you say?
There's no number. I can't give you.
I think you should have a powerful 3.
No,
Yes.
absolutely not.
I think you should have a powerful 3 reasons why.
And I'm
you
gonna
do
tell.
something.
No, you don't need to have 3 because you can have that one that outweigh everything.
And that's okay.
And you don't need, but you don't
But
need 3.
let's say that one, right? Not necessarily you've accomplished it, but it starts to fade away.
It's the frequency of how high that one is. It has nothing to do with how many reasons you have. The reason
everything changes.
It's the value of the reason. What does the value of the reason hold? How motivated are you of that value? It's like in the morning, bro, right? Why do you get up in the morning and do the things that you have to do when you can just stay in bed and do nothing?
No, that don't sound like
right?
logical.
Exactly. Right?
It does not.
No, it does. It does. You can.
It does to who?
No, not to you. I'm
just saying it does to who. I'm questioning
exactly.
you.
I mean, there are people who do that and play 2K all day. And
shout out to y'all, man. Y'all must have a great life.
Exactly. So what's the reason behind you getting up in the morning?
Are you personally asking me, or you just
no? I'm just saying it's an example. Your reason to get up outweigh the reason behind you staying in bed all day. That's why you get out of bed and do the things that you have to do.
I think. Well, also, I mean, I think you have no choice though. If you want to have like.
It's not you have a choice. It's just that the consequences will not be what you're looking for, because you will soon be homeless and you have a pile of bills, right? You have a choice. You always have a choice. And that's what I was saying earlier today when I say we always have a choice. You can either live, to pay bills.
Yeah.
Or you can, create your life the way you want it to be. You can create
life by design.
By design, exactly. So with that same mindset, if you're just, content with things and not looking to, you kind of, put that twist in it, you're gonna get lost. But you have to have by a reason behind everything that you do.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that makes sense. It's part of growing. It's always evolving.
Because it also gets to the point where you got people who are like spending most of their time being comfortable because of things that they've experienced in the past, right? Because, they know this is what they know. They're comfortable. Not a lot of people like change. Not a lot of people like to be in a foreign environment. Like how many times, like if somebody say, yo, I'm going to drop you off in the middle of the jungle, you're going to look at them like, what? Like, what are you saying?
You coming with me?
Exactly. So it's being able to put yourself out there and take those risks will open your eyes when it comes to.
You think being put in a different environment is part of that change? I mean, not even change, but that growth aspect?
Yes. I think it's important because now you're able to see yourself in a different environment and see how it impacts you. And the important thing there is to be able to look and document, okay, how did I approach this situation? Do a self-evaluation of yourself in that environment. That's what it is. Do a self-evaluation of yourself. And you should do it every month. Actually, I strongly encourage you to go to a place that you've never been before once every month. And see how, just see how you act in that environment. Once every month. Just go somewhere that you've never been before once every month and just see how you pick up that environment. And as you do it more and more, you'll be self-aware of a lot of things about yourself.
Yeah, just yesterday, actually, I went to... I've been to this place before, though. I went to this place, and there was actually this guy. He was taking pictures. And as I said to myself, he's taking pictures. Again, we're looking for a photographer, a videographer. So I'm like, there might be an opportunity there. Immediately, I felt the same feeling that we felt in Charlotte just before approaching Sophie. It was like my heart started racing. Boom, boom, boom. I'm like, why is this happening right now? That's literally what I said. I was like, why is this happening right now? In my mind, I'm like, there's no way that my mind is telling me that I'm scared. So I was like, well, I guess it's time to go and do it. So it's that adrenaline. I think maybe it was adrenaline. I have no idea. I was just like, this is weird, because approaching people, I don't think I have an issue with it. I enjoy talking to people, especially if it's something that I could help them out, or if they can help me out with something. But just that feeling, I was, again, being conscious and being aware of what exactly was going on at that moment. And I was able to relate it like, I felt this way before. And I took action, and it turned out fun. It turned out good. It was a good connection that was made. But that is just something quick that I just experienced yesterday. And I think it was really cool for me to experience that and actually be conscious of it, because I think that's the first time I've actually caught myself and I was like, I felt like this before. And that right there, it immediately made me get up and just go and do it, because I felt that feeling before.
Yeah, your self-awareness skills are growing. Like you're able to evaluate moments like that and better than you did in the past.
No,
because
definitely.
You're in the moment too. So like when you're in the moment, you're able to look at that situation and say, okay,
I'm ready.
I'm here. This is what I should do. But like if you're just being passive with it, let's say you're in that environment, you're on your phone or listening to something, that wouldn't cross your mind.
That's fair. Yeah. It's the growth is a sticky thing, man. I tell you,
it is, but it's part of life, and you just have to work on it, man. It's a constant work. It's a constant battle. These are not things that we're gonna figure out overnight, and everybody's gonna have their version of how to go about it. It's just you have.
What's your version? Like, how do you go about it?
How do I go about what?
Growth.
Do you really want me to dive about
Absolutely
how I go about growth?
Absolutely.
Oh man,
start where you want to start.
I'm gonna start at the top. It's dreams and goals. You gotta have dreams and goals. I don't care who you are. I don't care how small those dreams and goals are, but you need to have dreams and goals to a certain degree. Right? Whatever it is, and they need to become your magnets. They need to become something that you're constantly attracting into your life, and you do that by, being in harmony with yourself. And to be in harmony with yourself, there are elements like every human being, every living matter actually generate energy. So you, for example, where you are, you're a source of energy. Mm-hmm. I'm a source of energy. That plant over there in that corner is a source of energy. And the frequency at which we are varies from one individual to another. And you could be in different frequencies in your life depending on the season that you're going through. Now, the question you need to ask yourself, so at which frequency do I need to be to achieve the goals and dreams that I want? Once you're able to identify, okay, who do I want to be, basically, let me rephrase it. Who do I want to be? Who do I need to be to achieve the goals and dreams that I want? When you're able to identify that, then you start taking action towards, getting closer to being that individual. By being that individual, then you can become, you can then have the things that you want to have. Now, to become that individual, there are 4 elements that are important
I'm getting a lesson right now.
There's 4 elements that are important to the human aspect, right? And those are your spiritual mind, right? Emotionally, intellectually, and physically. These are things that we learned since we were kids, right? But at one point we stop. We kind of, we only pick up on 1 out of the 4. So you'll have somebody who becomes, let's say, a bodybuilder because, that's what they decided to follow on and dropped, let's say, the intellectual aspect or the emotional aspect of it, or the spiritual aspect of it. So out of those 4 elements, think about it. When you're growing up, what do they teach you? They teach you how to go, to go to school, learn how to read. That's your intellect right there, right? And then spiritually, they teach you about the church, right? Yeah. Emotionally, you cry here and there. They teach you how to be tough, right? How to not fear certain things. So emotionally, you're also being affected. And intellectually, I already told you about
physically
that.
Is the last one.
Yeah, physically. So physically, they'll have you do all kind of sports.
Sports, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So these are the elements that you start growing with, but at one point it's just boom, there's a shift that goes.
Yeah.
And only a couple or maybe one, you're only able to retain a couple.
Yeah. That's
how you step away from being in harmony with yourself. Now, by having all these elements aligned into where you have a well-balanced life in those,
4
key characteristics, then you're good. Then you're able to then be yourself and do the things that you can do. And that's why I'm a firm believer that for me, my approach is to be the best version of myself. And for me to be the best version of myself, those elements need to be in harmony. By those elements being in harmony, I'm then able to help the people around me a lot more. So and the people in the society, the people I care about, anybody more, because now I'm at my full potential.
Spitting bars.
Nah, bro, I'm just saying.
So wait, with those 4 categories, characteristics that you have,
there's actually a 5th one, and I'm gonna get to it after your question.
Yeah. So with those 4 that you have, like, does each one have like a goal, or is it, because you mentioned how your way of growth is with goals and dreams and having that. So then I'm assuming the next category, kind of looking down, like having this as a pyramid, the next will be those 4 categories. Do those 4 categories align with the top goal, or do you have like a goal that goes below that to help with those 4, if that makes sense?
Now, those 4 align with your values.
So is it what is it part of though? Like, is it part of your bigger goal, or is it part of like, do they all have its own individual goal? Because they're all 4 different things.
But I'm gonna put it this way: those 4 are the foundation of your bigger goals. Because without those 4, it's gonna be a lot harder for you to get to your bigger goals. Because if you don't know, think about this: if you don't know yourself, how are you gonna get to the place that you want to go? You will literally walk into every single room, be pulled into different directions because you don't know how to say no. You don't have any boundaries. You don't know yourself, bro. So what those 4 allow you to do is to really, put yourself in a position where you're well balanced and at peace with yourself, living in harmony with yourself, to then be able to, look from the inside out and look at life from a completely different perspective than what you do now. Yeah, it takes a lot of work to get to that point.
I'm trying to still.
But you will never master all. You will never master all 4. And I don't want you to to make that. I want you to go over there and have 100%, score 100% on an intellectual test or a physical test. It's just having the balance that fits your lifestyle.
Right.
To understand that you need to know your values.
So, looking at it as a pyramid again, you said that intellectual, physical, spiritual, emotional, those are like your foundation.
Yes.
So those are at the bottom.
Yes.
So then,
because they then allow you to figure out who you are.
Okay, so then that essentially creates values based off of what you believe, which are those 4 categories that I just mentioned there. Based off of your values, that is, I guess, the middle, right? Mm-hmm. So then if we were to go one more step above, that should then align with your goals, your dreams, what your reality should be, your purpose.
Yes.
Your life by design.
Yes.
So it's interesting.
And now the more powerful your purpose and your goals become, because that foundation is already solid, the more the goals and purpose become, the more you start attracting the things you want in life.
Now, I agree on that one. Absolutely. 100%. So you mentioned something that was really interesting, and you said that, we all have those 4, but we lose it at a certain point.
Some people get lost in the confusion of the day because their goals are simply not bright enough to pull them through. So it's you know what you need to do, but you just don't do it because your no is outweighing your yes.
Or it's not necessarily your no, it's you just don't want to.
That's being comfortable, content.
Yeah. Or it doesn't even have to be content. It's just, I guess you could say content. Because, you know what you have to do, but why don't you do it?
Right.
And we all go through it.
And that's what yeah.
I think you learned this from one of the books. I actually heard it last night. It said, right, there's a Power 5 rule. So write down the 5 things that you have to do before you do anything else in your day. 5 things that you have to do, and they have to be relatable to whatever it is. And I think this is an easy implementable concept here. 5 things that you have to do, whether that's go to the gym, read a book, or read for an hour, or make a few phone calls, or whatever it is. You do make that up yourself and do it the night before, because then when you wake up tomorrow, the following day, you know exactly what you have to do. And once you cross those things off your list, at least you know now today was a progressive day.
Yeah.
And I think that's an easy thing to kind of implement. But I want to kind of go back in time real quick, because you mentioned how you can lose one of those 4 categories. When did you lose one of them? Do you remember?
Yeah, I'll have to think about. So spiritually, I know, because when I went to college, I kind of disconnected myself from that.
I disconnected,
and
college.
I got it back, and then I'm thankful for that. And I'm very thankful for that. So spiritually, yes, when I went away for college, I kind of lost that. Emotionally, I don't think I ever, I have lost it because I was never there. There's a lot of work that needed to be done, and emotionally it's kind of hard because that's a constant battle that we all go through.
Yeah,
I don't think you can fully have a grasp, and I'm still working on that today.
Same here.
So I can't really tell you emotionally where it really picked up. I think I want to say maybe the past 3-4 years, and intellectually, it ramped up even more after college.
after?
After college. I think
Interesting. So what were you doing in college, man? Partying? Having fun?
I think yes, I did have a great college experience. And I'm thankful for all the people that I met. Shout out to all the people that I met when I was in college. But yeah, during that phase, I think intellectually I was there when I was at home with parents because, you know, with parents, it's school or nothing, right?
Yeah.
So intellectually I was always there, and that's for everybody. But when I went away to college, my mind was elsewhere. So I dropped that for a while. I went through college, I never finished a single book. And now I read a book a day, right? So
that's insane.
Yes,
a book a day?
Yes. It's not the type of book that you should think. It's not like massive books.
Okay. It's how many pages would you say?
Yeah, it depends.
Average. Throw a number out there.
Maybe 200.
You're going through 200 pages in a day.
Bro. In the morning, you read in the morning, you read at night before bed. It's not bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
You
just have to plan your day accordingly.
That's fair. I mean, are you skimming the book? Like, what's going on there?
No. Mm-mm.
You're actually reading 200 pages a day. God bless you, man.
Yeah. Bro.
That's it. Wow.
But that's one of the things. What's my reason behind doing that? Right?
That's fair.
Because my reason outweighed the reason. Same thing Leon did when he did the 100 day of coding.
Yeah. I mean, but I think that's difficult because I think you have to keep it up for a very long time. But I think what you're doing is even more difficult because you're reading through I mean, it's probably difficult because how I can't perceive that. Exactly. I can't perceive myself doing that. Yeah. But if you can, then hey.
I think it's totally fine. You want to keep going and keep doing it because that's how you get better at habit. That's how you get in the groove of things.
Right. Yeah.
But if you expect it to just land on your lives, and that's another thing. Like you could be. I know I want to gain. I've always asked when I'm praying, I'm asking for these things. Like, I know I want the wisdom, and the knowledge so I can pass it on to a generation that comes and my, my own children as well. Mm-hmm. So I know I need to put in the time and effort now, to gain all that stuff. I know why I'm doing the things that I'm doing. I know that I need to be in a position where, I want to pass the knowledge and the wisdom that I have to others. And for me to be able to do that, I need to be able to, get some knowledge and wisdom myself. That's why I put in the time and effort to make sure that, I'm learning. I'm studying. I'm always studying. I'm always learning. It's a lot more important to me now than it was in the past. So that covers intellectually, that covers spiritually, that covers emotionally. And the last element is basically
physical.
Physically, I've always been active my entire life, and I'm trying to do even more now than I did in the past. There was a period of time where I didn't do it for, maybe a year or so. But to get to the nugget of it all is you need to be able to have the balance between the four. We all go through seasons where you will lose one. We all go through phases where one is more important than the other. But always remember that in order for you to move forward, you need to have all four in kind of a level playing field somehow. Yeah. At least be aware of what, those four, what level you are on those four. What level are you at this time? And what do you need to do to increase the level, the energy level of, one or two of them? Yeah. So that you can actually become the individual that you want to become, or gain the skills that you want to gain.
Hey, would you say and I like the word you used, level there, and it made me think of a video game. I mean, I don't know what video game this could apply to, but whatever video game has like levels to it. First level is always easy, but you
Mario.
get to okay. I hope everybody played that before.
If you didn't play Mario.
You're missing out. Boy. However, I think obviously starting at level 1 is pretty easy. And you mentioned there's levels to just identifying, what level are you on, whether it's identifying the spiritual, physical, intellectual, et cetera, et cetera. but identifying what level you are. So would you say the older we get, the harder it becomes?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
No. I don't think the older you get, the harder it becomes. The older you get, the more resources you have access to, the more aware you should be of things. But that's not how life works. We find ourselves in this position where, just like I said earlier, there's so many variables in our lives. There's so many things that goes on that it's easy to get lost in the shuffle. It's easy to be on cloud nine when you should be focusing on some important things. And the reason for that is you don't have a strong reason. You don't have a strong reason behind the reason why you do things. It sounds very repetitive, but it really comes down to that. Why do you do the things that you do? What's the reason behind it?
So are you saying the decision becomes easy, or
as you grow older, you should technically grow wiser as well. Technically,
fair. That is
right.
Yes,
because of the experiences that you're getting.
That is
right.
Okay.
Technically, that's why I said it should be easier on paper, but nowadays it's not the case. It's not the case.
Why don't you think it's the case? I mean, I would kind of disagree just because of the amount of information that's available to everybody.
Conformity. People get comfortable in doing the things that they do. You see all the time. You see people reach a plateau, and it's like, okay, I'm there now. I'm there. I really like what Donda told Kanye on the episode when she said the giant see himself
spilling the beans.
The giant sees himself in the mirror and sees nothing. It's basically, there's always a level up to where you are. There's always a level up to where you are, but it's up to you to realize, okay, is there a strong enough reason for me to get to that level? Why do I want to get there? Yeah. Why do you want $1 million home? A house is a house. Why do you want a $2 million home? I was sitting with myself the other day. I told you, the house was 2.8. I'm like,
2.8.
Why do I want a house that's 2.8 million?
Why do you?
But that's the type of question that I was asking myself, and I actually realized, you know what? I don't need that, because that money can go to so many other things that I want to get done. How many charity organizations do you think I want to help at this time? Yeah. Right. So it's like, I don't necessarily need that. I just want to be in a comfort
of your own home.
Yeah,
I think there's a way to.
So being able to identify those things, though, that's the important thing, because now I'm able to save myself some money too, and save myself some trouble.
However, I think 2.8. That's just a number. I think the key thing in terms of identifying what type of home you want is, what do you want in your home? One.
Right.
And another question is, how much space do you need?
Right.
Because those are the
there's a lot of variable. There's a lot of variable.
Those are the key things that if you need to identify, what kind of home that you want. I think those are the two things you need to know.
Oh, you're saying what kind of home you want? Okay.
Not necessarily the price, because the price is different in every single market.
Gotcha.
So you're gonna be able to go to whatever is 2.8 here. You can go to LA and you're gonna have a 2.8 little box. But it's identifying, what do you really want in a home? Like, if you were to build your home, what is your home going to consist of? How many bedrooms? How many bathrooms? Is it going to be a game room?
What do you want for your kids? What do you want?
Exactly. Is it going to be like a big living room? Is it going to be a game room for your kids?
Yeah.
Is it going to be a little movie theater? Or are you
so
going to
all
have
that,
a gym?
but it doesn't have to be 2.8. You get what I'm saying?
Right. It doesn't. No, it truly indeed doesn't. But identifying what's going to be in your home and how much space do you need to create that home, that's where you identify, hey, this is the price that I'm willing to spend for a home. And at that point, now everything is in your hands. The ball's in your court to identify what goal is it that you're working towards when it comes to a home. I could tell you mine. I don't need no more than 7,000 square feet right off the rip, because I've walked through homes where it was way more, and I'm like, I personally don't need all this space. I just don't.
But
like,
see, now you have a valid reason behind, but that's a prime example right there. You were saying, as you get older, it should be easier. When you're a kid, you probably just want the house because it's the house,
it's
right?
The big old, you see a big house.
But now you know the square footage. Yeah, you know the square footage. You know the things you want in the house. Now you're wiser. You have more information about the house. That's the same thing with life. As we level up, you want to get more information so you know what you're going to do with that information. So, you knew.
Okay, but let's bring it back to the video game aspect.
Yeah.
A video game gets harder as you level up, but you have more information.
Yes.
So
because you have a lot more obstacles along the way, and that's the
woo,
same thing with
a
life.
video game. Can you say
Yo.
a video game is very
No, it
comparison to life?
It is. I've done that comparison before. You get tested more in life. The closer
Yeah.
you are to your goals, you get tested more.
And it's
You
different
know?
tests every
It's
single
exactly.
time. That's the hard part
Exactly.
because it's
you know
not
the
a test.
game. You know the game.
Yeah.
Now you got to stay in the game.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Because it's not a test that you've
Yeah.
experienced in the past, so now you got to go through this testing, and now you got to
Yeah.
try to figure out how you're gonna
Yeah.
get through it.
Yeah,
It's insane
it is.
how
Yeah.
challenging.
It's a
things-
different maze, different level. So you just have to go through it. Yeah.
and I think a maze is the best way.
Right.
I like how you just said that because mazes literally have walls.
Yeah.
You're either gonna
Yeah.
go through that wall,
Yeah,
or
either
you're gonna
going forward or going back.
you're going
yeah.
backwards to try
Yeah.
to figure out how you're gonna get through it.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think if you're ever in a situation where you're like, man, you're stuck, just think about where you are in that
Yeah.
maze.
Yeah.
Are you in the middle? Are you in the beginning? Or
Yeah.
are you at the end?
Right.
And I think that right there can identify, kind of put a visual aspect to things to get you to see like
I'm
where.
glad you brought that up.
where are
'cause
you?
That's next. Yeah.
Yeah, no, truly indeed, where are you? Ask yourself like, hey, where am I? And identify, which way you're gonna go.
Yeah.
Are you gonna go straight back? Are you gonna go backwards? Are you gonna go forward? I mean, it's up to you. You create your own destiny. You create your own life. You create your own everything.
Yeah.
It's truly indeed up to you. I heard this on a show. You said, "Don't ask another man for your future."
No, I mean, you'd be a fool to do that. You'd be a fool to do that.
But it's
But-
this is one of those things. I think I think everybody should at least put that in the back of their mind. Hey, that's perfectly fine if you want somebody else to tell you what your future is going to be, but you have everything in front of you to create your own.
Yeah.
You have the ability to.
Yeah.
It may be a little bit harder here
You
and
have
there.
just as much as the same ability than the person next to you. We all have access to these resources. We just don't tap into them.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just don't tap into them. So, like you said, we kind of built this pyramid where,
Yeah,
we
you
have
got
the
the-
characteristics at the bottom. You have the values. You have the purpose. So and all these are guided by your reasons, right? And so the next step, once you identify exactly who you are and where you're trying to go, right, where you're trying to get, the next step at that point is then having the vision. Now you need to be able to visualize and see, okay, where am I going with this? How, what does that look like?
Wait, so you lost me there. Are you saying you have your four, so emotional, intellectual, physical, emotional at the bottom?
Yeah, so that's the floor.
Right. So then when we move up to the next step, there's
You have
your values.
you have your values
and this is
dictating.
based off of those four
Yes.
at the bottom. So
because
now,
that then those four create who you are.
so you move up another level. Is that where the dreams are, or are you
Your
saying
values,
that's where?
your values then will dictate what kind of goals and dreams you want to have.
But don't you have to visualize before you have the dream?
No,
Ah,
no. You just have to have dreams and goals strong enough to give you the visions along the way. You're gonna have you need to have the goal set. You need to have the goals and dreams to then have the vision.
I mean, I think it's depending on the person, because I'll have the dreams before I have the vision, but I think it's okay for you to have the vision before you have the dream.
False.
Well, you can't say false.
Well, and
like, like what?
What was I thinking? Like this is a game.
False? Like
No,
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 it's
no,
false
no.
to you.
Yes.
But I think it's yes, you can have the dream, but in the end, you're gonna have to visualize it. But I think it can work either way. I truly do, because if you visualize it, then you know, okay, this is what my dream is for myself. Again, I knew I wanted a big home. All right, how big of a home I didn't know that until after I was able to visualize, physically see, and understand what that home is like. So that's why I'm saying, like, yes, you can have dreams, but I think the visualization that will have to come after the dreams.
Well, I get what you're saying, but here's my thought process with this. I'm not dismissing what you're saying. I'm just trying.
You already did.
I'm just trying to see. I did a couple times, but what I'm trying to say is you're gonna have these dreams and goals. So you lost me.
Yeah, I got him, guys.
No,
We stumped him.
I got it. So you know what kind of home you want to get, right? So you know what kind of home you want to get, but you the goal itself, right? The goal was to get the home.
Yeah.
That was the goal. That was the quote unquote dream, to get the home.
Right.
Now, through visualization, you're able to determine what kind of home you want.
Right. Which comes after.
No. The initial goal was to get a home. You want to go.
Okay, yes, the goal is there.
Mm-hmm.
The visualization have to come afterwards.
That's what
I'm saying.
So you then visualize,
but
you had the goal first. Isn't that what I said at the beginning? I said you need to have the goal,
yes,
and then visualize afterwards.
But I think those can be flip-flopped. Because the only reason why I say those can, yes, they absolutely can. Yes, they can. The only reason why I say that is because by visualizing, you can have the dreams be created off of that. Again, I would say, and I'm speaking for myself. However, I was able to see a little bit more, experience a little bit more through traveling. I think that is when I was able to my mind shifted completely, because I saw a whole new world.
So on which aspect of those 4 did your mind shift? If you're thinking about the 4 at the bottom, like what did traveling help you with?
Visualizing, absolutely. That's what it helped me with. It didn't necessarily help me with goal setting or dreaming. It just knew that there was more than what I knew. So it enabled me to visualize, hey, this is possible, or this is something that you can accomplish, or if you want that, it's there for you. However, I would say, I think those two, again, you could visualize and you could dream, and those could get flip-flopped. I mean, it all depends on who you are, what you experience, what you've seen. But I truly indeed think it depends. It's gonna vary, because I can't say I grew up and I knew I was going to be successful. Like, no, I no. I'm just going through the motions of day-to-day duties. Hey, doing whatever it is my parents wanted me to do. But the visualization came at a point where I was able to kind of take a little bit more control of my own life, of what it is that I really wanted for myself. However, now looking at it, that has flip-flopped again. So yes, I was able to visualize. However, visualize then dream. But I think now I'm at a point where I can dream then visualize. So that's what I'm saying. I think those things can flip-flop. It all depends on, I think, your experiences.
It does vary on your experiences, but I think it's one way could be more beneficial than the other. Yes, there's way you can have it, set up in multiple ways. I think it does benefit you, and you can flip-flop them, absolutely. But one way will most likely be more beneficial to you than the other.
And I'm a visual learner, so visualizing is always going to help me way more than just dreaming. I'll say that.
But you can't have. Well, I think you can't. You're doing the comparison between visualizing and dreaming. I'm more focused on having the dream, like the actual dream. I'm not talking about the action of dreaming. So I guess I'm going to remove dream and set, for example, the goal. So you got to have a goal for you to dream or have the vision. So that's what I'm saying. So it's, for me, what I was referring to is more about the goal. You need to have the goal to then be able to visualize how you're going to get to that goal, or like how do you even want this goal to be, set up. But it's like, think about this, right? Why would a farmer plant a seed in the spring if he didn't have the vision of the harvest he will get come the end of the season? So if he doesn't know, okay,
he's hopeful.
Well, no, he's not. Well, yes, he is hopeful. He's hopeful, but he has what? He has a goal. What's his goal? Is to have something at the end. Farm. Right. Now, his goal strong enough to get him up in the morning, every morning, to do the things he has to do? Yes, obviously, because that's how he makes his money. Right? Now, you want to be able to get to that point. You want to be able to get to that point where you have a goal, and now you can sit there and see yourself achieving that goal, visualizing yourself being there in that moment, whatever it is, having those things, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
But to do that, you got to know what those things are. So that's the goal.
Yeah.
And then you can dream and you can have the vision all you want.
That's
so it's in that order that I was referring to. I think that's where I got confused when I was looking at it from the dream and the visual, from dreaming and visualization. That's when it threw me off. But it's basically, it goes goal, then you then start visualizing, which then create the ideas strong enough that will pull you in the direction of the things that you want.
Yeah.
and then you get the final objects at the end. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've never actually sat down and actually had that broken down to me. But now that I'm actually looking at it, it's literally that's exactly how everything painted out to
Yes.
be. Like, I mean, I asked you the question of when did you lose certain aspects of your life, and you were able to identify and see like what you lost first, what you lost second. And I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, I lost my spiritual pretty early,
Yeah.
without a doubt. And then I had to gain it back.
Yeah.
What was another one? I think at a really, really young age. I mean, I didn't really care too much about school to begin with, so my intellectual was already, washed away. It wasn't until again me visualizing, me experiencing, me going to travel for me to gain that back, and then everything else kind of came together emotionally. I would say for myself, something I'm still working on. I don't think I have a complete hold on that just quite yet, and I think that's gonna take me quite some time. But it's really cool to see how you have all those aspects and how everything kind of relates to each other and how you can kind of align it together to each other to then achieve who it is, your values, or who it is that you even want to be. What are you going to stand for? And then create those goals and then, of course, visualize whatever it is that you want. But I think right there, that pyramid, we should.
Well, it's not done. Pyramid is not done.
There's more.
There's more to the pyramid. After visualization is faith. You gotta have faith that the things that you want will come.
I think it has to stop there, though. There's no way. There's no way it's gonna exceed that.
Because if you don't have faith,
you can't continue.
Yeah, so faith is the ability to see things that don't yet exist. You want to be able to visualize and see these things come into your life, and to do that, you have to take the necessary steps to ask yourself important questions like, what would you like to accomplish? Where would you like to go? Who do you want to be remembered as? And when you set those goals for yourself and you visualize yourself, the more try to see if you can get a better picture of the finished objective, and see yourself there, see yourself in the possession of, everything, all the things that you desire and the things that you want to accomplish.
I got a question. So now that you mentioned and kind of showed, kind of broke down the pyramid that you went by to kind of identify, how is it that you go about?
You made it a pyramid. It was in it. Go ahead.
I think that's, I'm a visual learner, so whatever. I guess I made it my own pyramid. Yeah. I think we should have this pyramid on.
Sure, I can work on something like that.
Yeah.
If only if there's a strong demand. I'm not gonna waste my time.
I will have a demand for it. Anyways, now that you mentioned it and kind of gave the aspects of it, how does this all still correlate to growth, though?
Because these are elements that allow you to then, grow in various aspects of your life. These are elements or key features that will allow you to look at your life, not just your life, but the way you're going about doing certain things, from a completely different perspective. We want you to have as many resources so you know what to do with those resources and use them when needed. You don't have to use them all, but for you to grow, you need to have access to resource. You don't just grow being cooked up in a room, right? So when you think of a flower, you think of a plant. It needs water, it needs the oxygen to grow. It needs those resources to grow. So now look at the characteristic. Think of these elements are your water, your oxygen, your sunlight for your growth. So how can you apply these elements? How can you look at these elements and you basically take advantage of nurturing them, basically, because the better you can nurture them, the better you become as an individual, and the better individual you can be, the better you can be, the better society can be in general, and the better the people around you are. But the homework start within. You cannot expect somebody to come and do the work for you. And it's a constant work. It's never gonna stop. This is a homework that you're continuously gonna work on. The minute you decide to get comfortable, is the minute you lose the battle. You're not gonna be perfect. You just gotta keep going. And if you need somebody to hold your hand as you're going through this journey, call me. We have our number now on the IG page. You can literally send me a message. I would love to, have deeper conversation with anybody who wants to talk about things like this a bit more. But I think it's important to know who you are, to understand where you're going, and do the things you want to do.
I mean, even if it's not us,
Yeah.
let it be somebody that is in your life that can hold you accountable to something.
Yeah.
Accountability partner is very, very important, because you're not only letting yourself down, you're letting the person that is holding you accountable down. So it's harder to it's easier to let yourself down, but it's harder to let somebody else down and yourself down at the same time. It's a conscious thing, I think. But if it's not us, let it be somebody that is close to you that can hold you accountable to these things. And you know, how is it that you go about your own growth? Because it's all important in the end. I mean, we all need it. We all want it. I mean, you may not want it as much. It may not be, 10x. It could be, 5x, 2x, whatever. It's growth. That's it.
Yeah. One break at a time. One break at a time.
The house isn't, what was it? Rome wasn't built overnight.
Yeah.
The house isn't built in a day.
Rome
I mean,
wasn't built in one day, yeah.
I mean, nowadays it's a big question mark. They be building houses like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah. No, but this was a good conversation. And you basically asked me, like, what is my template to life? That is my template to life. That's how I evaluate a lot of the things that I do. What is the reason behind it? It took some work to get to that point for me to even evaluate the things that I do the way I do them. But I'm proud to be here and be able to share this with you, because I think we can all benefit from, just having this perspective of life in a way.
Yeah.
What you do with it is up to you. And that's one thing me and you have been trying to identify, is like, how can we allow people to take action once we're able to give them the content that they need. So we took our time. We poured, the knowledge that we got with you today. It's up to you to go and take action. I will hate for you to have listened to us for an hour and 20 minutes, an hour and 30 minutes.
This is a long one.
And then just to then go about your day and completely forget everything that we talked about. But take at least one element that you can go out, this week or over the next 2 or 3 days and apply into your life and see how it impacts you. If it's not beneficial to your life, of course, drop it, but you will never know unless you try it. So take the smallest step, one brick at a time. I don't care how small, how big the action is, but you have to take action to be able to get and become the individual that you need to become. I want you to grow, because by you growing, you're then helping everybody else around you.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just, for yourself. You are helping an entire, community.
Yep.
But that's kind of my take on it. If you have any questions for me, feel free to email, feel free to message, however you want to reach out to us. But I want you to be engaged. I want our listeners to be engaged. We want you to be part of the conversation, and we're still trying to find ways that will make that, engagement easier for everybody.
Yeah.
And if you have any recommendation, please reach out to us. But it's important we talk about these things,
Yeah, we got plans for everybody though, so that engagement aspect is gonna come. We got the vid that got lifted, so things are coming back, man. I think we're good on that aspect.
I'm kind of annoyed by it. Too many people outside, man.
Come on, man. This is part of life. This is what life was like
Stay
before.
home.
This guy go ahead and says stay at home, which was what we talked about before starting
That's
this.
how we gonna end it too.
And that's crazy. Hey, don't forget, your life is what you create it to be.
Yeah.
All right, y'all.
All right. Peace.
And really, man, the focus is just leveling up. Cause I know the life I want, I'm just setting it up. Removing those that's close who try messing it up. Can't wait for champagne toast with the relevant bunch. Like, what's up? Yeah. Like, what you do, homie? What's your vision? How you thinking? How you move, homie? And is you cool, homie? You thinking building, then that's something we could do, homie.